I was arranging cheese on a platter when my sister Vanessa swept into our parents' living room like she owned the place. Which, emotionally speaking, she always had. "Everyone, this is Jake." Her voice rang out with that particular brand of excitement she reserved for showing off. "Jake Anderson. My fiancé." I looked up from the crackers. The man standing beside her was tall, well-dressed, with an easy smile that seemed genuine. He shook hands with Dad, hugged Mom, and then his eyes landed on me. Something flickered across his face. Recognition? Confusion? I couldn't place it. "And this," Vanessa said, her tone dropping several degrees as she gestured vaguely in my direction, "is my older sister Claire." "Nice to meet you," I said, extending my hand. Jake shook it, his grip firm but distracted. He was staring at me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. Not creepy, more like he was trying to solve a puzzle. "Claire works at, where is it again?" Vanessa asked with fake sweetness. "That little clinic downtown?" "The research hospital," I corrected quietly. "University Medical Center." Right. She waved her hand dismissively. "Doing administrative stuff?" I didn't correct her. What was the point? Vanessa had been rewriting my story for years. At family dinners, I'd learned it was easier to let her have her narrative than to fight for the truth. "Well," Vanessa continued, sliding her arm through Jake's possessively, "at least Jake won't date someone who dropped out of school. He has standards." The room went silent. Mom suddenly became very interested in her wine glass. Dad cleared his throat. "Vanessa," I said evenly, "I didn't drop out. Community college doesn't count, Claire." She laughed, bright and cutting. "Jake went to Princeton. He understands the difference between real education and whatever you did." Jake's head snapped toward Vanessa, then back to me. That confused look intensified. His hand slipped into his jacket pocket, pulling out his phone. "Excuse me for just a second," he murmured, his eyes never leaving my face as his thumb moved across the screen. I watched the color drain from his face in real time. His jaw tightened. He looked at his phone, then at me, then at Vanessa. "You're Dr. Mitchell?" His voice was barely above a whisper. The room froze. "I'm sorry." Vanessa laughed nervously. "Dr. Claire Mitchell." Jake's words came out slowly, deliberately. "You're Dr. Claire Mitchell. The neurologist." My stomach dropped. Yes. You spoke at the Medical Technology Conference in Boston. Last March. I was there for our healthcare division." He held up his phone, showing what I recognized as my TEDx talk thumbnail. "You presented on breakthrough treatments for early-onset Alzheimer's." Vanessa's face had gone white. "You gave a 30-minute presentation on your research team's clinical trial results." I took notes. Jake's voice was getting louder now, harder. "You have a PhD from Johns Hopkins. You did your residency at Mass General. You've published 17 peer-reviewed papers." "Jake," Vanessa started. He turned to her and I saw something I recognized. The exact moment someone realizes they've been lied to. "You told me your sister never finished college." His voice was ice. "You said she dropped out after one semester. You said she worked in hospital administration doing paperwork and coffee runs." "I can explain." "You told me you went to medical school." Jake's hands were shaking. "You said you were the one doing Alzheimer's research. You said you couldn't talk about it in detail because of patient confidentiality." Mom gasped. Dad set down his drink with a heavy thunk. I never said I went to medical school," Vanessa stammered. "You absolutely did." Jake's voice cracked. "When my mother was diagnosed 6 months ago, you told me about your research into early-onset treatments. You comforted me with details about your clinical trials. You let me believe you were working on a cure." My chest tightened. His mother. He'd been listening to Vanessa's lies while his mother was sick. "I was talking about Claire's work. I was just summarizing for you." Vanessa's voice rose defensively. "You said, my research. You said, my team. You said, my patients." Jake stepped back from her. "I asked you specific questions about treatment protocols because my mother's neurologist mentioned a trial at University Medical Center. You gave me answers. Were those Claire's answers?" Silence. "Did you steal your sister's career?" His voice broke on the last word. "Did you let me think you were saving lives while she was what? Getting you coffee?" "Jake, you're being dramatic." "Answer the question, Vanessa." She couldn't. Her mouth opened and closed but nothing came out. Jake turned to me and I saw something that made my throat burn. Respect mixed with deep embarrassment. Dr. Mitchell, I am so sorry. I had no idea. Your work it's incredible. My mother's doctor mentioned your trial. We're hoping she qualifies for the next phase. What's her name? I heard myself ask. Your mother. Linda Anderson. I knew that name. I'd reviewed her file myself just last week. She'll qualify. Her markers are exactly what we're looking for. I'll make sure her neurologist has my direct line. Jake's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. God, thank you. Don't thank me. Just get her the paperwork by Friday. He nodded, wiping his face quickly, then turned back to Vanessa. The tenderness was gone, replaced by something cold and final. We're done. What? Jake, no. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket and set it on the coffee table. I can't marry someone who would steal her own sister's accomplishments. Who would lie about something this important. Who would let me believe false hope about my mother's treatment. It wasn't like that. Vanessa's voice turned shrill. Claire never corrects me. She lets me say these things. Because you've been doing it our entire lives, I said quietly. And every time I correct you, I'm the bad guy. I'm the one making it awkward. I'm the jealous older sister who can't let you have anything. Mom made a small sound. When I looked at her, she was crying. Is this true? Dad's voice was rough. Claire, did you really? You're a doctor? The hurt in that question cut deeper than Vanessa's lies ever could. I'm a neurologist. I run a research team. I have for 3 years. My voice remained steady. Professional. I gave you all invitations to my MD graduation. And my PhD hooding ceremony. You said you had Vanessa's sorority formal. That was 8 years ago, Mom whispered. Yes. Jake was already heading toward the door. Vanessa lunged after him, grabbing his arm. Jake, please. We can fix this. I'll explain everything. He gently removed her hand. There's nothing to explain, Vanessa. You lied. About something that matters deeply to me. About someone who's actually trying to help my mother. He glanced back at me. Dr. Mitchell, thank you again. For everything. And then he was gone. Vanessa whirled on me, mascara streaming. This is your fault. You ruined everything. I didn't say a word. You could have backed me up. You could have. Lied for you. I picked up my coat. No, Vanessa. Not anymore. Claire, wait. Mom stood reaching for me. We didn't know. How did we not know? I looked at her for a long moment. Biz, you never asked. In 8 years, you never once asked about my work beyond, how's the hospital? You never came to any of my presentations. You have my books on your shelf, my published research, and you've never opened them. Your books. Dad's voice was small. Published medical research. My name is on the spine. I headed for the door. I'm not angry. I'm just tired. I've been trying to earn your attention for 3 decades. I'm done now. Where are you going? Vanessa demanded. Home. I have patient files to review. I paused at the threshold. And Vanessa? Stop telling people you're me. Get your own life. I drove home in silence, my hands steady on the wheel. My phone buzzed with texts. Mom, Dad, even Vanessa, but I didn't look. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel invisible in my own family. I felt free. 3 days later, Linda Anderson's paperwork came through. Her son sent it with a handwritten note. Thank you for seeing my mother when you could have turned us away. You're the real deal, Dr. Mitchell. Unlike some people. I smiled and added her file to Monday's review stack. I didn't need my family to validate my worth anymore. My patients already knew who I was.